I want to introduce to you Irina Shatilov. I actually had the pleasure of meeting her back in March, just after the conflict began. I have a wonderful side job of writing for the Front Porch, and I got assigned to cover the story, and I went and saw the most amazing logistics campaign. They had collected, the Ukrainians from Colorado had collected so many medical supplies and clothing and things to send to Ukraine, and it was just this army of volunteers loading up SUVs to go to a shipping container, and it made me emotional to watch it. It's making me emotional to recount it again. So Irina will kind of introduce our other speakers. They will be talking about the work the Ukrainians of Colorado is doing to help support Ukrainians over there. There will be a table in the back at the end if you want to make a small donation for Ukrainians of Colorado. All of that money goes to supplies for folks in Ukraine. And they have some cool stickers and things like that. So with no further ado, here's Irina Shatilov. Actually, you could be better. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Irina Shatilov, and I'm Vice President of Ukrainians of Colorado. Thank you so much for inviting us, for letting us share with you our stories, our pain, our needs. It's so emotional and hard to talk, actually, so forgive me my broken English. We know your church probably back of March, and some of your members, Brett Bauman, who helped us a lot. He brought some medical supplies to Poland. He served for Ukrainians, refugees in Poland. And no words to say how we appreciate, how we're thankful for his wonderful job. And just a few words about us and what we do. Ukrainians of Colorado is 501c3 registered nonprofit organization founded in 2014 to unite Coloradans and raise awareness about Ukraine and Colorado and beyond. During these hard times, our Ukrainians need help and support more than ever. The war, Russian aggression brought to our land is devastating, unforgiven. Tens of thousands are displaced, terrified, left with nothing. United help of our community will make difference for our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. We actively and zealously work to develop awareness, knowledge, and understanding about Ukraine in Colorado and beyond. We work hard to raise funds to provide medical and humanitarian aid to Ukrainians through a network of established providers in Ukraine. We are working together with Project Cure, the world's largest distributor of medical supplies, equipment, and services to doctors and nurses serving the sick and dying in more than 135 countries, to ship medical supplies to Ukraine. We are helping relocated Ukrainian state orphanages. Thousands of children were evacuated from their home, state boarding schools to remote regions of the country to ensure safety of the children. We also working together with Ukrainian charity organization Happy Sun for families with special needs children during the war. These children need special food, hygienic supplies, and medication on a daily basis. Also, we are working together with Ukrainian fund, We Are the Future, to raise funds for recovery program for kids with mental issues affected by war. Ukrainians are forced to leave their homes and look for safer places to save their families. Over 6 million Ukrainians went abroad, and 8 million were displaced within relatively calm months. We were approached by the leaders of the Center for Social Protection in south and eastern parts of Ukraine with a request to help the displaced with food kits and hygiene products. This set cost us $22, but it's enough to survive for 2 weeks for family for 4 people. And today we would like to share our stories, and I would like to share with you one of the video with our current project. This is actually food boxes for people which were boxes was distributed to southern and eastern parts of Ukraine, which was occupied. It's small villages, small towns without energy, without warm water, without food.
Допомогу для Снігурівки. Там вже майоріє наш прапор. Велика честь.
And this is how it looks from distributor center.
Люди, які нуждаються в цьому.
Дякуємо Вознесенській територіальній громаді.
It's actually thankful for all Coloradans for your donations and help to raise money for these food boxes. And this is what doesn't mean for us Russian word in Ukraine.
Добрий ранок.
As you see, the most people who are taking this help, elderly people and kids. Thank you so much. And I would like to invite you, Tanya Karmazina. She fled from Ukraine. She's from Mariupol. This one.
Усіх вітаю. Мене звати Тетяна Кармазіна,
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tatiana Karmazina.
і я з України, from Mariupol.
I'm from the city of Mariupol in Ukraine.
Спочатку я хотіла б розказати, що в мене в Україні на початок війни вся моя сім'я була в Україні, і моя сім'я дуже велика. В мене є батько, мати, 2 брати, в яких також є сім'я, і є сім'я в мене. І
First, I would like to start by telling you that I have a really large family in Ukraine, and we were all in Ukraine with my whole family at the moment the war started. I have my mom, my dad still in Ukraine. I have 2 brothers.
Мабуть, всі з вас чули такі міста, як Ірпінь, Маріуполь, Київ, звісно. І в мене є для вас 2 новини. Одна добра і одна дуже погана. Перша погана – це те, що ми в втратили всі свої домівки в кожному місті. Тобто в нас не залишилося нічого такого матеріального в Україні, але є і гарна новина. Вся моя велика сім'я, вона жива. І це на 22-й рік для України також привід для того, щоб радіти.
You all must have heard about cities like Irpin, Mariupol. I have two pieces of news for you. One is bad, the other is good. So the bad piece of news is that all our homes in all of those cities were lost. They're gone. We have lost them irretrievably. The good news, though, is that we're all alive, and my whole large family that lives in Ukraine is still alive. And in Ukraine of 2022, this news is really good.
Я хочу розповісти про найважливіше, про те, що ми не розуміли до того, як почалась війна. Я хочу вам розповісти, як люди, які 23 лютого мріяли про подорожі та якісь нові покупки для себе, і про те, як змінилися їх мрії вже вранці 24-го року, коли вони залишилися без світла, тепла та будь-яких комунікацій.
I want to tell you here about the most important thing, and that's the fact that as of February 23rd of 2022, all Ukrainians were dreaming of vacations, trips abroad, new material things, new things to buy, shopping. But that all changed as of February 24th. Starting from February 24th, we were all left without electricity, without power, barely surviving.
Спочатку хочу вас познайомити з домом, який в нас залишився в Маріуполі і який був прихистком для 20 людей в березні цього року. Це дім моїх батьків, який вони будували з мрією про те, що він колись достанеться їх дітям. І він став прихистком для нашої сім'ї і для тих людей, які залишилися без домівок вже під час війни. Мій тато їздив та збирав людей по місту на своїй машині, яка потім також була розбита під час обстрілів. І от так люди жили.
First, let me show you the house, my parents' house in Mariupol. So this is the house that they dreamed of passing down to their children, but the house that ended up being a shelter for 20 people that included our own family and also people that my dad just gathered around the city, just driving around and helping out people who were left without homes.
Це було не тільки з моїм домом, це було перш за все містом, який був Маріуполь і який він став зараз. Про це я хочу також трішки розповісти.
Our house was not the only one that it's happened to. This happened to the whole city. All of us were in the same situation.
Люди залишилися без будь-яких комунікацій, і я хочу розказати, як добували моя сім'я для себе їжу, тепло та таке інше. По-перше, хочу сказати, що люди почали мріяти про те, щоб в них була б хоча б чиста питна вода, і вони її добували із снігу. Мабуть, це дуже погано, що був сніг і люди мерзли, дуже багато людей вмерло від холоду, морозу. Але цей сніг також і надавав людям воду, завдяки якій вони могли готувати собі їжу та пити.
We all were left without food and water, and so the way our people were surviving was by collecting snow and melting it to drink the water from it. So on the one hand, snow was bad because it meant cold, and many people actually died of cold. But then it also saved lives because we were left without any food or water to drink, and so melting that snow and drinking that water actually saved lives as well.
Моя сім'я, мабуть, ще також вижила, тому що жила в своєму домі і могла добувати для своєї сім'ї тепло. І тепло вона добувала, вирублюючи свої улюблені сади, тому що саме дрова та якісь міжкімнатні двері, які знімали, могли надавати вогонь, щоб зігрівати людей в нашому будинку.
The reason my family survived was because they were lucky to have a house of their own and the garden that they were forced to cut down to keep warm. So cold was one of the reasons people were dying, and so they were able to provide warmth for themselves just by cutting out their garden and using some of the wooden doors to just burn the wood and keep warm that way.
Багато людей було багато варіантів евакуації, і майже всі люди мріяли про те, щоб збіжати з цього міста. Але не всім вдалося це зробити. І якщо моя сім'я є привід для того, щоб радіти, тому що ми всі вижили, були ці люди, які не просто вмерли в своєму місті, а ще й їх знайшли в подібних братських могилах.
So there were a lot of different plans of evacuation from the city, but many people were not able to be evacuated. And so my family is lucky to be alive, but many people are not. Not only did they die in their own city, they were butchered along with other inhabitants of the residents of the city, and their bodies were found in these mass graves.
На цьому фото на першому можна побачити напис про те, що в дворі дому заховано 55 тіл, без прізвищ, імен та таке інше.
The sign in this courtyard says that in the courtyard of this house, there were 55 people buried together. No names, no insignia, no trace of the identity for these people.
Так, це також світлини з Маріуполя.
These are also photographs from Mariupol.
В першій будівлі, мабуть, яку ви чули з новин, загибло дуже багато людей, більш ніж 1000 людей.
In the first building that was bombed that you probably heard from the news in Mariupol had more than 1,000 people inside.
Так. Це відео, воно не запустилося. Так виглядає школа, в якій працювала моя мати.
This is a video, but it didn't play for some reason. It won't play. But this is the school that my mom taught in.
Тому, пройшовши всі ці адські тортури, які були в нашій країні, хочу сказати, що ніхто з нас не знає, коли настане той контраст, коли ти мріяв про щось велике, а потім мрієш про воду та просто тепло та їжу.
So to us, it's unfathomable how this sudden change can occur from dreaming of something joyful and big and sometimes even trivial to just dreaming of survival by having enough warmth, food and water.
Коли почалась війна, мій тато кожен день молився за свою сім'ю, за своїх онуків. І я хочу попросити вас, щоб ви також завжди залишалися людяними, розуміли, що є той контраст, який не повинен бути в нашому світі. Тому що всі ми люди, і всі ми повинні робити добрі вчинки, робити щось добре, народжувати та давати життя, а не забирати його.
When the war began, my father prayed daily for all our family and all our people. And so I would like to ask you to do the same. Keep praying for us so that this contrast between just living and dreaming of everyday human things to just wanting to survive, that this contrast would never happen to anyone. So that like all people on earth, we would be able to dream to get married, to have children, to raise our children, and to just live our normal lives.
Я хочу подякувати вашій країні, Америці, за те, що роздали нам прихисток. Я дуже вдячна, що я опинилася саме серед вас. І хочу, по-перше, подякувати усім вам. І дуже вдячна за те, що ви робите. І вірю, що ви зможете нам допомогти і надалі.
I'm very grateful to you all and to your country for providing us with asylum and shelter. I'm very happy to be here among you, feeling safe. And I would like to ask you to continue helping us.
Дякую.
Thank you.
Next girl, I would like to come here. Her name is Irina. She came from Dnipro.
Добрий день, мене звуть Ірина. Я приїхала в Америку 6 місяців тому з 2 дітьми і з котом.
Good morning. My name is Irina. I came here 6 months ago with my 2 children and my cat.
Я зі своїми дітьми, чоловіком жила в місті Дніпро. І одного дня ми прокинулися 24 лютого о 4 ранку від вибухів.
I used to live in the city of Dnipro with my 2 children and my husband. But one day we were awakened at 4 o'clock in the morning on February 24th by explosions.
Це відчуття, яке назавжди залишиться в наших згадках, в нашій пам'яті, у мене, у моїх дітей. І перші дні, перший тиждень це був дуже стресова ситуація. Звісно, чоловік намагався нас заспокоїти, перенаправити нашу увагу на якісь. Ми поїхали одразу до центрів волонтерських, де збиралися люди і пакували все, що тільки можливо. Кожен зі своєї домівки привозив їжу, і це все пакувалося, сортувалося і доставлялося в ті райони, де вже були на той момент війська, які зайшли з півдня нашої країни і окупували дуже значну частину території.
This feeling will remain with us forever in our memory, both for me and my children, and it will never go away. The first week was very shocking and stressful. We tried to by distracting ourselves from this horror and trying to think positively just to remain resilient. We also kept ourselves busy by collecting all the food and water that we could and taking it to the sorting centers where we would gather it and sort it for our military servicemen who already started gathering in the center in our city because of the troops being distributed to the south and to the east. They were starting to be stationed in our city. So we started collecting the necessities for them.
Наше місто стало осередком прихистку для багатьох біженців, які виїжджали, намагалися евакуюватися з окупованих територій України. Люди надавали притулок, забрали людей до своїх домівок. Але бачачи ситуацію, яка була у Києві, у Ірпіні, постійні обстріли, ті активні бойові дії, які там відбувались, чоловік вирішив вивезти нас на Західну Україну, де було більш спокійніше.
Many of our residents sheltered refugees from other cities. They provided everything they could for the refugees. However, when the situation became really bad, my husband decided to take me and our children out to the western part of Ukraine where it was safer.
В Америці у мене є частина родини. Тут проживає вже давно моя сестра рідна і моя мама. То вони з перших днів були з нами на зв'язку і шукали можливості для того, щоб нас вивезти у безпечне місце сюди.
I have part of my family living here. My sister and my mom have lived here for a long time, so they were in contact with us the whole time since the beginning of the war, especially in the first days, and they were trying to find ways to bring us over here.
Ми познайомилися у потязі евакуаційному, де люди були в вагонах по 20 людей. В одному купе люди спали на підлогах у коридорі, у тамбурі біля туалетів. Вони намагалися виїхати, і ми познайомилися там з волонтерами, які запропонували нам можливість поїхати до Польщі і звідти вже намагатись отримати туристичну візу, щоб прилетіти сюди.
When we were being evacuated, we were on the train where there were up to 20 people per compartment. People were sleeping on the floors of compartments, on the floors of the hallways, on the floors of the bathrooms next to the toilets. There on the train in those conditions, I met some volunteers who offered to help take us across the border over to Poland so that in Poland we would be able to get a tourist visa to come to the US.
У Польщі нами опікувались волонтери. Чоловік мій залишився в Україні, а я з дітьми виїхала. То у Польщі допомагала кожна людина, яка зустрічалась на моєму шляху. Нам надавали житло, ми харчувалися у хабах, які організовували з теплою їжею. Так ми чекали на співбесіду на туристичну візу.
My husband stayed behind in Ukraine. We did make it to Poland with my children, and while we were there waiting for our visa interview in the American embassy, we were being sheltered and fed by Poles. The Poles helped everyone in every way they could.
Коли за результатами співбесіди нам відмовили, то моя сестра почала шукати інші можливості, завдяки яким могла б нас евакуювати. На той момент були волонтери, які приїхали на кордон з Мексикою у місто Тихуан, де вже перебувало багато українців, яких також сім'ї рідні намагались забрати сюди до себе.
When we got our interview, our visas were denied. And so the volunteers in our Polish hub offered to connect us to volunteers who could help us get over to Mexico so that we could come over to the US from Mexico. So they connected us to the volunteers in Tijuana, and so we ended up getting a visa and traveling to Tijuana in Mexico.
Волонтери дуже згуртувались і буквально за декілька днів створили хаб, через який на той момент вони змогли допомогти перейти кордон 20 тисячам українців до США.
The volunteers in the hub in Mexico that we dealt with were very organized and very collaborative. So thanks to their efforts, we were able to walk across the border into the U.S., from Mexico into U.S.
Моя сестра купила нам квитки з дітьми, і ми перебували у Мексиці, у Мексико-Сіті, на території хабу, де чекали вже на програму і на документи, які анонсував уряд Америки та спільно з урядом Мексики. Вони створили програму спеціально для того, щоб мати можливість таким людям, у яких є сім'ї, у яких є тут якась опора та допомога, приїхати сюди і бути у безпеці та забезпечувати себе та дітей.
The volunteers' organized efforts helped 20,000 Ukrainians cross the border from Mexico into Ukraine. Before that happened, however, my sister was able to buy tickets for me and my children so we could travel to Mexico City, where the volunteer hub took care of us while we were waiting for the United for Ukraine program to be opened and available for us.
Завдяки таким людям, які не залишалися байдужими, які допомагали або приїжджали, допомагали своєю роботою у хабах, або надавали матеріальну поміч, дуже багато українців змогли бути з водою, з їжею, одягнутими та у теплі.
Thanks to the collaborative efforts of those volunteers who never were indifferent to us, multitudes of Ukrainian refugees with their children were fed, clothed, and provided water and shelter while we were awaiting the possibility to cross the border.
Тому, коли вже ми з дітьми прилетіли сюди у Денвер, з перших днів я розуміла, що таким людям буде важко тут освоїтись, знати, як оформити свої документи, як психічно та психологічно адаптуватися тут. То з перших днів я почала шукати організації, які допомагають, які надають можливість цим людям тут перебути ці дні війни.
So when we did make it to Denver, it was really difficult for people like me to find a way to settle down, to obtain paperwork, to know where to go, to know where to apply, and how to obtain the required documentation. So that's why I started looking for organizations that could help us provide that information and help us settle down for the time being for these for the time of the war.
Я познайомилась з організацією Ukrainians of Colorado, з Іриною, і з перших днів сама допомагаю іншим людям і активно приймаю участь для того, щоб розповісти про цю ситуацію, про цю війну в Україні і про те, що зараз багато людей на тих територіях, які деокуповуються, знаходяться без їжі, без води, вони виживають там.
And that's how I met Ukrainians of Colorado, and specifically Irina. And that's why I've been helping this organization since the first days of my stay here, because I want to carry over the message to everyone of my people who stayed back in Ukraine and are still surviving without pretty much food and water, just surviving day to day.
Дякую за вашу увагу, за те, що ви не байдужі. Ми кожного дня молимося за наших рідних, які залишились в Україні. І також просимо, щоб ви у молитві згадали про те, що війна не закінчилась, вона триває, і ми повинні продовжувати цю боротьбу.
Thank you very much for your attention and for not being indifferent to us. Every day we pray for the survival of our families who remain in Ukraine, and we ask that you pray for the same so that we can see through this war and live till the peaceful days.
Дякую.
Thank you.
I would like to mention that our organization, we are all volunteers with full-time job, with families, with kids. And I would like to introduce one of our volunteers, Natalia Zasatko. She is taking care of our orphanages projects, and she will share you with this.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for your attention and for your willingness to learn more about Ukraine and the projects we do, and your willingness to help us as well, and for your support. Let me open a little PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so as you heard from Irina, Ukrainians of Colorado is a nonprofit organization that was established way before the war started, and we helped kids, orphans, elderly people, and terminally ill people all through many years. And when the war started, we combine our efforts, and we decided to reach even broader population of Ukrainians to help them more. And as Irina mentioned, we do work with soldiers, we do work with hospitals, we do work with elderly people, and the project that I am involved with, and that I reach out to Ukrainians of Colorado, and they also decided to help me, is to help Ukrainian kids and Ukrainian orphans and elderly people as well. So this is a little presentation that I will show you what we did and what we continue on doing. Okay, so when the war started, I was working with an organization called the Future of Ukrainian Kids. That's an organization that was helping Ukrainian orphans. And when the war started, a lot of kids from different parts of Ukraine were relocated to this orphanage in Western Ukraine because it was not safe for them to stay anymore in Mariupol, Kherson, or other cities of Ukraine. Then I and a couple more volunteers decided to do a donation drive where we collected, as you see here, you see the poster. So we created a poster, and we were hoping to collect a couple things, we were thinking maybe like a box or two, but then with the help of everyone, we were able to collect 86 big, like the largest Home Depot boxes that you can think. So I decided to open my home, and as you see here, that's my kids. We turned our home into donation office. Then also I am part of hiking groups. Me and my family, we like to hike, and we're part of a lot of hiking organizations throughout the Colorado and throughout the country. And they also decided to step in and help us to collect the goods and money to support and provide for these orphanages. Here's a short video. How do I? Okay, so this is my home, and we have people coming, every day from sunrise to sunset, bringing things, and we were packing everything, getting ready to ship. So as I said, we were hoping for a couple boxes, and with everybody's willingness to help and ability to help, we were able to collect a lot. We're also collecting different pictures just to brighten up the day. We decided and asked our neighboring kids at my son's school, we spread the message and ask people to create pictures that we can send to Ukrainian orphans to brighten the day. Here you can see there's lots of different pictures that was created and sent it to orphanages. So on that, we do have a couple projects that we work. It's not just one orphanage. We have multiple orphanages in Ukraine that we help. The first project is called City of Goodness, or Misto Dobra, that's located in Western Ukraine. And this is the project that we worked way before the war started. And when the war started, they adopted a lot of kids, and they, not necessarily adopted, they basically provided the housing for the kids from different cities of Ukraine. And right now, when the war started, they had about 120 kids. When the war started, now they are at 800 kids, ranging from newborn to, I think, 12 years old. That's the kids they have. Most of these kids are orphans. A lot of these kids don't know that their parents died yet. Unfortunately, they decided if the kids are small and they were relocated from Mariupol or Kherson or Irpin, those kids under 1, they don't know yet that their parents are not alive anymore. They do look for relatives, other people that can help maybe later, but right now these kids are in this city of goodness. As you see, this is all the kids, and they just want the best for themselves, and we try to help them. This is all the volunteers also. So the other thing that this project does is they help young moms with kids who don't have a place to stay, or they were in abuse way before the war started. So they also provided this safe housing for those people to stay somewhere. And when the war started, they started bringing more kids, and this women who were living in this house, they were just providing their time and effort to help all the kids. This is just a kitchen that they cook food. And here, as you see, so everything that we collected, so we start collecting in the end of March, and we collected until beginning of May, and then in May we shipped everything with the help of Ukrainians of Colorado, with the help of other volunteers, with the help of my friends, where we collected money just for the shipment. The shipment was kind of expensive, but at that time, those people, they couldn't buy anything in Ukraine because it was just not accessible to them. So one box cost us about $100 to ship, but it was worth it because the thing that we shipped, like you see here, we send them medication, we send them formula, the things that are high value and things that are necessary. We're also able to send them some other medications or like filters for water because they didn't have running water. So it's something that they needed. The other thing that we do, we also help terminally ill kids. Unfortunately, nowadays, those kids don't have access to hospitals or care that they need because of the war. Like there's big hospitals in Kiev, like Okhmadet, or there were hospitals in Kharkiv that were seeing these kids. Now they cannot take these kids because of the war. And so what we do, we try to support them financially, and then our volunteers in Ukraine try to take these kids to other countries like Poland, Moldavia, Romania, that are closer to the border to support those kids and hopefully, extend their life. Unfortunately, we did lose a couple kids because we were not able to provide necessary medical care in timely manner, and those kids are angels now, but we try to do what we can just to help and support them. Here you see there is kids also. Those kids are not in orphan, but they are living in villages of occupied cities, and our volunteers also buy and bring them supplies like everyday food, just to brighten their day and hopefully, provide something to eat so they don't starve, because nobody should starve and nobody should die because of the lack of food nowadays. But in Ukraine, kids and people do die. Again, you see a lot of food, and it was very hard to find good volunteers in Ukraine to work together because there's a lot of people who need care and a lot of volunteers. But we try to find people that we can trust and people who really do what's best for kids. So they provide us with checks and supplies and everything for the kids. On this picture, this was a very touching moment, and this lady here, her name is Marta. She's our angel. She is the head, and she's like just the main person who takes care of all the kids. She lives in an orphan. She dedicated all her life to God and to helping kids. And on this picture, we see kids who were relocated from Kherson. Actually, the story of those kids is very dramatic because they were, I don't know the other word, but they were stolen from Ukrainian families by Russians, and they were placed on a train to departure to Russia without parents willing, like parents didn't allow them to do that. But our volunteers and some other organizations somehow stopped the train, and they got the kids, and they relocated those kids to the orphanage in Ukraine that we help. So there were about 47 kids that were almost stolen. And somehow with God's help and everybody else's help, we were able to get them back to Ukraine, and they are in Western Ukraine, and we're trying to find their parents because we don't know where their parents, if they are still alive or they are not alive. It's just there's a lot of unknown. And that's something that's very hurts, because even so we're helping them, but maybe, the parents are there and we're trying to find them, because of course it would be better than with the parents, but we can't do that, and it takes time. The other thing that we are working right now is we are building, so as you saw here in the pictures, all these beautiful homes, this beautiful building, there's only one building, and there's a lot of kids. So now, with volunteers, we're trying to extend the territory, and we're building more bomb shelters and more buildings for those kids to spend their days, because even, we're really hoping the war will be done fast, but we don't know. But even when the war is done, there's still Ukraine, and Ukrainian people, Ukrainian kids would need a lot of help. It's a lifelong project now that we have to make sure those kids have everything they need to survive and to grow up and feel important and loved. So we're building a 3rd and 4th bomb shelter and a building for kids, and something that we are collecting funds. And I will tell you more about it, but we're gonna have, there's posters on the back. We're gonna have a big fundraiser on December 4th in Lakewood, in Soltera Village, and the main purpose of this fundraiser, it's going to be like a yarmarok where we're going to sell Ukrainian goods, food. There's also a cooking class if you want to learn about Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian traditions, where we're going to teach you how to cook, and then you can taste some food. So all the information is there. If you would like to join us, we would appreciate your support, and we would love to see all of you on this event. But all the proceeds from this event will go to support and help build bomb shelters and buildings for those kids who need the most. This is the 3rd project that we did. It's with the Community Center for Ukrainian Refugees in Poland. As some of the girls said, you heard that Poland provided a lot of support and places for people from Ukraine to stay there. So this is kids. They are not orphans or anything, but they are refugees that probably just moved there with mom, and dad usually stay in Ukraine. So we send them a lot of goods as well, just to make them happier and just to give them something good. As you see here, lots of pictures. We provided them food, lots of smiles. This is our Polish friend, Kasia. She helped us to pack and ship some of the things to Ukraine. Here is her Poland friend, Maciek, I think? Marcin. And he is also a full-time volunteer. He doesn't charge anything. This is his own car that he converted into a little transfer bus, where he takes our humanitarian help and transfer from Poland to the cities in Ukraine to help those who need the most. As you see, he's delivering some, I think, sausage and some rice and oil to elderly people on the occupied territories after it was deoccupied. And we also did help this is a Christian camp called Tabir Yor Camp. And what we did for them is they hosted 156 kids, orphans. And what they asked us for is they asked just for the playground, because they had all these kids who were very stressed, very depressed, and they tried to do something for them so they can spend more time outside and not inside. And we collected, Ukrainians of Colorado collected funds, and we sent it to them, and we built them a playground. So this is something that we do, and if you want to learn more, please go to ukrainiansofcolorado.com, find us on all social media, contact me, Irina, or any of us, and we would be happy to talk to you, if you would like to get involved. Thank you again for, your willingness to help, your attention, and, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Yeah, and this is again the Taste of Ukrainian Christmas. All the information is on here, but basically what's going to happen, we're going to have two different parts. One part is it's a cooking class where we will be telling you all about Ukrainian Christmas, what we cook, why we cook. How many of you knew that Ukrainians for Christmas Eve make 12 dishes? I know, right? And we do cook 12 dishes, and we're going to tell you all about it. We're going to sing some Ukrainian carols. We're going to show you some of the we're going to have some workshops. We're going to have St. Nicholas, because in Ukraine we don't have Santa, we have St. Nicholas. So we're going to have St. Nicholas. You can take pictures with him. So it will be a very, very fun event, and for the good cause, because we're going to help those little kiddos who need help the most right now.
Run out of time, but I'm hoping you can all stay for a few minutes. If folks have questions, can come up. And Natalia, our wonderful interpreter, can you stay if we need some interpreting help? So I also wanted to recognize Tim, who's on the board of Ukrainians of Colorado. He will be here to answer any questions that you might have, and then there's lots of information back on that back table. So thank you for coming today. Do you have one more thing you want to say? Thank you. Let's give them Monty, thank you.